welcome to We're Not Wizards. We are the best, but not wizards. Enjoy the show!
My moustache is looking thicker.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going through that period in my life, right?
Oh dear.
No, it's not that kind of period in my life.
Hot flushes in a convertible. Yeah.
It's not even. I had that.
Are you any good at golf?
My dad used to be good at golf. He was just really good at golf, and him being really good at golf kind of put me off him for kind of taking up at golf at all. Maybe
I used to play a lot of golf.
Did you?
Yeah.
I'm not. Why am I not surprised? Why am I not going? Oh, really? Really?
No,
Are you not surprised at that? I'm getting to a certain age where, as a man who is going to be 49 in 11 days' time, I'm looking at stuff and I'm going, do you know one thing I've never just let my face go haywire. So what I'm doing is I'm letting my face go haywire, and I'm going to see what happens, and we're going to take it from there and see what it is.
I love how much you didn't think your face is already haywire.
I was thinking of doing that thing. Do you know you get these ridiculous people that they kind of grow a moustache and then they have the miniature goatee? Can't think what kind of idiot would ever have that kind of stuff going on. Oh, well, you got an itchy bit on your face.
Yeah,
kind of scratching. That's pretty good. You used the longest finger to scratch that itchy bit in your face instead of any other kind of fingers at all. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Should we do an intro? Sorry, should we do an intro first?
I mean, why be professional now?
Why bother? We'll be right up there with flipping. What's his face? Dan and
who?
I don't know. Are they even professional anymore? Do we consider? This is what, right? This is the question I was thinking, right?
They upped their game when they started trying to compete with the board game snobs. Then they kind of upped their game a little bit, but that kind of never really got there. So I think they've just given up. You know,
it's kind of interesting.
You can tell they don't care anymore.
The board game snobs are like a level that people would kind of want to go to. I always wondered, right? And I always wondered, because we're just going straight into this, do other podcasts like have kind of like an intro thing where what they do at the beginning is they spend like 10 or 15 minutes actually planning out what they're going to talk about? I think that Barrage do it. I'm pretty sure that Barrage will have like a team meeting, and probably Kellen probably gets everybody into a circle and has them do like a Madonna kind of
like a rah, all hands in, like, kind of, we're Barrage! And they raise their hands out.
We're tanking it!
Oh, that's right, they're all the weird little tanks, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
Are you a tartan tank, aren't you? Did you get a tartan tank or something like that? Was that you?
Yeah, I've got a tartan
tank. I thought I remembered hearing about that. But I think I actually heard about that on Sporadically Bored.
So you didn't actually listen to them at all?
No, I've never listened to them. No.
They're very serious. They kind of got really serious when they started to do it. They wanted the Board Game Geek Award, which is fun. What do you want that for?
I love it when that campaigning starts. Like, oh God!
Yeah, it's like Oscars, except for people with hobbies. Anyway,
podcasters campaigning for the Board Game Geek Awards annoys me as much as when YouTubers make content about the hobby that they're in, but actually just to justify what crappy sponsor they've got. They're two of those things that really piss me off.
I want to see I want to hear an example. Like you've actively seen YouTubers kind of go.
Right. Well, an example. I can't think of it like a particularly specific example, but you see it a lot in the miniature stuff. Like I watch a lot of miniature painting people.
Yes.
Like Ninjon and Miniac and stuff like that. Miniac's actually not too bad for it. Actually, he's not too bad. But Ninjon, it's like, oh, we're going to show you 5 basic painting techniques. I never know why I watch these because I do know these techniques, and that's not me trying to blow my own horn. But
build rage in yourself.
Yeah. But then it's like, and here's a word from our sponsors, who are the digital STL designers of this miniature. And it's just like you just pick some arbitrary topic to justify the sponsorship of this digital thing. It's just like, I'm just sick of it. It's just like, make some proper content. Stop chasing the algorithm. I'm fed up with people chasing the algorithm. You don't chase the algorithm. Look, your numbers clearly show that you don't chase the algorithm.
I see that.
You don't care about that at all, clearly.
I've stopped caring about it because I remember this as a hobby. This is a hobby based on a hobby, and I always said to myself, if I actually ended up really taking it seriously, which I did for a little bit, I'm taking it seriously. Put my, I'll put trousers on when I'm doing these interviews, and as you can see, no, I'm not going to stand up.
That was a very clever way of making me look at your bare ass again. Again. For the 4th time.
Again, it's like that old joke about the bears that turn around and go, "You're not here for the hunting, are you?" You know what I mean? It's absolutely brilliant. Anyway, welcome to We're Not Wizards. My name's Richard.
My name's Luke.
And today is our what is it we're calling ourselves? It's the gluten-free Christmas stuffing special, where we're going to talk a little bit. What is it? The title? I sent you the thing. I don't do shows.
Oh yeah, I can see now. Gluten-free Christmas stuffing. Isn't Christmas stuffing like entirely gluten?
No. Well, it could be.
It must be.
No, sage
like
and
proper,
onion. You get sage
like
and onion.
But like Paxo stuffing, that's probably like gluten with sage and onions flavouring. It's like,
no, it's like there is actually gluten-free Paxo sage and onion stuffing.
Everything now.
It's amazing. I'm so happy.
Are you celiac?
I am.
Is it celiac?
Is it
celiac if you're gluten-free?
Yeah.
I think I probably did know it, but I'm just
you probably did know it. But I mean, there's
a lot of things I know about you. I've tried to forget.
Like that arse thing.
Yeah, exactly. But 4 times and it's ingrained in your head.
Downy here.
Is it a pain in the butt being gluten-free?
No. No, I think I occasionally get occasionally, do you know if I go, I'm really
I occasionally get depressed, but it's not a problem.
It's not a problem. I occasionally kind of go, I'd really like to go to kind of a processed food shop and eat lots of processed food, and I just can't. It's like one of those horrific situations. Tonight, right? Okay, we did Christmas dinner practice without the stuffing, because Paxo do make gluten-free stuffing. They use it with they make kind of like rice flour and potato flour instead, and they use it to make the breadcrumbs, because that's what they do. If you go to a traditional Bangladeshi Indian curry restaurant, if they know what they're doing, they'd be using chickpea flour. They're not using they're not using actual wheat, because wheat doesn't exist really in those countries. But we had a Christmas dinner.
I'm glad you added in those countries at the end. I thought you were going to get some weird conspiracy theory that wheat doesn't exist and pigeons are remote controlled by the government.
But they are. But
they changed the batteries.
Yes.
That's why they put us in lockdown.
You could just see them going around with one leg. You always see one of them going around in circles because its leg's broken, and it's going. That's why if you hear a pigeon coo with a really, really low coo, if it goes coo, it's about to just Duracell bunny not Duracell bunny, because they keep on going, but the other bunnies and just kind of fall over.
I just realised, those people who do that, the hobby where they try and lose a pigeon unsuccessfully, the homing pigeon people.
Yes.
I reckon they're actually working for the government, and what they're employed to do is, when your phone locks up and you've got to do that hard reset, you got to hold down 2 buttons. Yeah. So that's why they've got these pigeons, and they hold them, and then before they set them off, they hold them in their specific places, like pull the right leg, and then put your thumb over its left eye for 5 seconds, and then it'll go coo coo coo, and you let it go, and it'll reset to factory settings and fly home. That's them resetting the factory settings. Yeah.
There's probably one that's like a finger on the bird's bum hole, and it's like, I didn't realise it reset it. I just like it. It just keeps. That's why I've got fingerless gloves. Keeps my
nothing to do with resetting. Have you not heard me doing this before? No, I haven't, Pervy Ernie. Why have you been doing that? I didn't know.
So the thing with gluten-free stuff is you do get gluten-free gravy now. You get gluten-free chicken gravy, which is, again, it's all rice flour or potato flour, so that's pretty nice. So it's quite thick because it's got corn flour in it as well. Technically, gravy's usually a bit corn flour. It's got corn flour all over it. My question is, right, so we're just having chicken, which you could say, well, why aren't you having turkey? Because turkey's not very nice. Nobody in the family, we had the turkey discussion. Nobody likes the turkey. So we went, why are we bothering going to the hassle of cooking a turkey if none of us like it? So we just have chicken.
How many of you are feeding?
Only it's going to only.
How many of you are feeding? That didn't sound right. How many of you are feeding?
He's making it sound like some kind of demon.
Yeah, I was going to say like packed of vampires. Yeah. How many of you are feeding?
And what happened to old Mrs. Miggins over the road there? And, and why did I find some?
She got bloody good feeding.
Okay, so here we are.
How many are you cooking for?
3.
Well, there's zero reason to do a turkey. Absolutely zero reason. Because unless you're cooking for really 8 or more, no justification for it. You know.
Is that from a professional? Because one of the reasons I was asking the question is because you chef and cooked and stuff like that. So when it comes to Christmas dinner, are you tempted to do a kind of a big? First of all, because you cook, is it kind of leaned on you to say, "Oh, is Luke going to be doing the entertaining this year again for the 15th year running?" Or, you know,
I remember
is somebody else going to do it?
My father's a good cook as well. And I remember one year we went to my brother's house for Christmas. And I think me and my father cooked at least 85% of it.
Wow.
Through no request or anything like that. It was just kind of, it was an assumption that kind of just naturally got made. Yeah, I suppose it's sort of, no, I wouldn't say it's expected of me, but it's presumed of me. But the thing is, like, doing a massive Christmas dinner, because of my professional background, doesn't stress me out at all. Because really, a good roast dinner, nothing you're doing is remotely complicated. It's all about timing, and it's all about understanding what you've got to do, when you've got to do it, what you can do the night before, or even the day before that, and stuff like that. There's loads of things you could do to make your life a hell of a lot easier on the day, you know.
You could, I mean, I've got this thing. You could ask me this question, which is, what is the secret of cooking a good comedy turkey?
What's the secret of cooking a good? Fucking hell. Okay, I know we're only the second time of doing this as a potentially regular thing, but I think that's where we're finishing. That's where we're drawing the line under this.
Don't worry, I've got fucking backup. I could have.
God, there's more.
There's potential like that. I could have. You know, I mean, I've already been courting Tim Kilnick. I've already been saying you should come on at some point. Do you imagine how mad that would be? We could have Sir Meeple on himself, but we'd have to refer to him as my lord. He's a good bloke.
Is he the guy that does t-shirts and stuff, isn't he?
Yes, he's just, I met him, he was in Scotland with his missus, and we met up and we had, I says, I'm going to take you somewhere traditional Scottish. So we went and had a curry. But it was, you know, it was a nice kind of curry. So, what's your plans for Christmas this year, cooking wise? I'm not saying, tell me where you're hanging out, but
I don't know this year, to be honest, because I mean, it all kind of does depend on what family and this and stuff. And I had hoped that my brother and family were coming over, but we had something bad happened, not between us, but I mean, we had a loss in the family, which kind of has put a bit of a dour on that. So I think they're going to have maybe a quieter Christmas on their own. So my mum and dad, they live in an annex of my house, so there'll be at least 6 of us, and then hopefully brother and tribe coming over in the evening maybe, or something like that. So yeah, I mean, if I'm cooking for, like, you know, us and my mum and dad, I'll usually do 2 meats. I'm a big proponent of all the other bits, you know, like I love, like, sausage, not the beak, the feet.
The toes. The turkey toe.
turkey feet. No, like stuffing
The
wrapped
bit-
in bacon, sausages,
lovely.
chipolatas wrapped in bacon, or pigs in blankets, whatever.
Yeah.
Good sausage meat stuffing, and I am the king of roast potatoes. I don't care who your grandmother was, but I make the best roast potatoes in the world. Everybody says,
okay. Tell me your secret. I want to hear your secret.
there is no real secret. It's just timing and paying attention to them. Decent. So, like, a lot of people, they won't turn them on often enough. But if you keep, like, every sort of 10 to 12 minutes, you turn them all. Don't overcrowd the roasting dish.
Mm-hmm.
Decent amount of fat. Make sure they go into hot fat. It's just, the right potato as well.
What's the potato?
I think
the
it's
righteous potato. Maris Piper.
the righteous. No, Maris Piper is a mashing potato. I think I can never remember. Well, it is. It is.
It's a mashing potato.
No, it is.
King Edward.
It's a King Edward. Yeah, I think there is a
Edward.
better one than the King Edward, but the more accessible one that you'll be able to get hold of is a King Edward. Which is the best one for.
I love this because there's like there's like hidden potato shops where you go in.
No,
And
well,
there's
there's
a counter
farm
that's got
shops.
nothing
You
on
might
the
be able to
counter.
get whatever one it is. I know there's a really, really like the perfect one for roasting. I can never remember that, but it's got a name like King Edward or something like that. Who the hell is Maris Piper anyway? What the hell is that? Who?
I don't know. We could find out. Let's find out. I mean, let's face it. This is the show. This is the show where we take cardboard.
How
and
many
also
King
we take
Edwards
trees.
have we had? How many King Edwards have we had? Which King Edward is the potato
The
named
second.
after?
Probably the one that I don't know because they just name anything after it, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
Who is Maris Piper when she's at home?
Let's find out who Maris Piper is. Maris Piper. It's just the most widely grown potato variety. Introduced in 1966, it was one of the most first
not even
potato
old.
varieties to be bred to resistant to a form of potato cyst nematode, a major pest of the potato production in the UK. So it's literally just quite boring. Oh my goodness, don't mention 1966. I said the 1966 thing. Do you know what's going to happen then?
It's coming home.
Do you know what's
The
got more
one-
chance of coming home? Me playing Feudum. That's what's got more chance. Me playing Heroes of Land, Air and Sea or whatever it's called. That's got more chance of coming home. Do you know what I mean? I'm absolutely kind of telling the truth. So, do you this kind of like the triple cooked chips and the triple cooked? Can you do this thing same with the triple cooked kind of roasties? Can you cook them a couple of times? Cook them, let them cool, and then kind of recook them again to get like an extra coating of.
You
fat
will
and
know that
stuff on
won't. It, well, I mean,
Could
yeah,
it?
to a degree, maybe. You would end up with a. Yeah, you probably could.
Okay. You're going to go and try this.
Another secret with your roast potatoes. Once you've don't cook them as long as you think,
Right.
because you're going to cook them longer in the oven than usual. I will
Right.
cook them longer in the oven to let them cook through. A lot of people will overcook a roast potato, parboiling it. They'll cook
Right.
it further than it needs to go, and then when you have cooked them, you've got to let them steam dry. You want to get as much of that moisture out of them as possible.
Really? How
That's one
long
of
do you
the things.
parboil them for? Because I'm usually a 15-minute guy.
10 minutes. I'm like,
10?
10. Yeah.
That's interesting. That's I'm not being
Yeah.
sarcastic. That's generally interesting to me because I do like, because I put a little bit of onion salt on my roasties
Very nice.
just to give that little kind of.
At what point
extra-
do you do that?
Well, probably closer to the middle of cooking. I usually stop halfway and put a little bit on it because I think if you put it on from the very, very beginning, you've got the chance of the onion salt kind of burning.
You'd probably just get kind of lost at that point. Yeah.
But
I'd
if you
put it
in the middle to the end.
I would put it on the last flip. The last when you give them a last disturbance. Give them a good.
How long? But how long are you doing this for? Is it 45 minutes?
Between probably best part of an hour. I'll probably
Really?
cook roast potatoes for. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, probably 50 minutes to an hour. Yeah.
Yeah, because I usually aim for about 45 minutes, but it depends on the temperature because it's kind of matching. I always thought you should do roasties about 210, but chicken's usually about, well, they always say 180, so I'm tempted to put it in set. 1 year I did do them in separate ovens, and I find just by having them really, really hot, the roast potatoes came out with a kind of a crispier kind of external shell, as opposed to, I think if you do them colder, then the fat kind of gets soaked into the potato and you end up with this almost like kind of chewy outer kind of finish to them. You know, welcome to We're Not Potatoes.
That's my roasties.
Look at that. That's
Some
a
of
sight
that.
to behold.
It's like bloody glass, the outside of some of that. It's like, oh, just beautiful.
Is
And
it like competition to do them? Can you compete? Do you just compete with yourself?
Probably. Yeah, you probably could, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm competing with my wife's satisfaction because the reason I decided to perfect roast potatoes is because my wife loves roast potatoes, like good roast potatoes. And so I just decided to perfect doing it. So I tried different ways and little things and tweak it and change it and stuff like that.
Are you turkeying it this year? You're not going to bother?
No, I was thinking of getting a rib roast of beef.
Oh, okay.
And then like I'll do things like a guinea fowl or something like that.
Are they not?
I love guinea
small,
fowl.
though? They're not.
No,
quite
guinea
small,
fowl's the size of a chicken. Okay, it's
is it?
bigger
Alright.
bigger than a chicken, bigger than your average
wow.
chicken. And I love guinea fowl because guinea fowl's like you either spend a stupid amount of money on a chicken,
Yeah.
to get a really really good tasting chicken,
Yeah.
or you buy a guinea fowl and it'll taste like chicken you've always wanted to try. It's just like really, I really love guinea fowl, and it's not that expensive to get a guinea fowl.
What about a duck? Do you ever go down to learn about? I've heard duck's quite difficult to cook. It can be kind of borderline going on very dry very quickly.
Well, it depends what you're going to do with it. If you're cooking it on the bone, it won't dry out. And duck's a funny one because duck should be served pink, but people will sit there and say, "Oh no, it shouldn't be pink," because they think it's a bird and it'll kill them the second they see a bit of moisture in it. But yeah, I haven't cooked duck for ages, for a long time since I last cooked duck. We did goose. We did goose one year. That was nice, but
is goose nice or is it?
Goose is duck. Goose is just like duck.
Goose is just duck. Is it? Is
Just
duck kind of different?
big,
That it's kind of more
angrier
of a
duck.
red meat. Is it a bit more like of a redder meat than chicken? Because chicken is just like chicken is like
a duck is a dark meat, really.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a game meat basically, isn't it? It gets an awful lot darker because that's like what you're right is saying when people see a chicken, and if you start opening up a chicken after it's roasted, and anyone sees the slightest hint of pink, everybody starts panicking and hitting the life rafts.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm not eating that,
And that's
otherwise
it.
I'm going to die.
And that's it. The meal's ruined.
Even
ruined.
without them tasting it. Even without them
Christmas
tasting
is ruined.
it. Even without them tasting it. Even. And, then they can just go outside and starve, and you just get more kind of chicken for yourself, So everything's kind of sorted out for kind of Christmas.
How long do you rest your chicken for after you've roasted it?
About 10-15 minutes, I think, usually. No?
Half the time that you've cooked it.
Really?
What I would do is I put it on a dish that can keep the juices contained, not a flat dish. Wrap it in foil, really encase it in foil, and then leave a couple of tea towels over it, and then just stick it on the side.
Yeah.
And just let it sit and rest, and you'll have the most perfect. As long as you don't so I can't remember the internal temperature you want to cook chicken to. I think when you're going to rest it for that long, I think you cook it to what is it, like 68 or something like that.
Yeah.
Because then it will continue to rise to about 75, 76, which is where it's. That was me saying perfect with a.
It's a
it works. It works when you can see the gesture.
It does it. We don't care. There's nobody.
Yeah. So and if you let it rest that amount of time, it will just cook perfectly through, and you'll never get a pink chicken. Never get a bit of pink chicken, and you'll get it's super juicy, and it'll lock in all that juice.
And does it start to reabsorb all the fat that's
it will do
kind
to
of
a degree,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, usually with almost any roasting joint, you rest it for the best if you can. The longer you know, resting it for 10 or 15 minutes is fine as long as you do rest it. It does make the world a difference. But half the time you roasted it for.
But does it not
is a
go
good
cold?
rule of thumb.
Does it not?
Not if you really wrap it up in foil,
really
like put the tea towels around it and stuff like that. Really give it a good woolly coat. You know.
You don't get the kind of the insulating coats for the boilers anymore, do you? They're all made of different stuff.
That would work
now.
though. A boiler jacket
cool.
would be perfect. Pop down screw fix. They'll sell them.
I'd either that or nick to Primark and get one of the really cheap kind of body warmers that you would get for a couple of quid.
That would probably actually cool it down.
You'd probably just like the ones that you get on kids. Just stick the chicken in it. What are you doing with that chicken? I'm taking it out for a walk. It's just resting it. It's wrapped up well. It's all kind of fine. You ready for Christmas then? I mean, it's early.
Actually, we're super ready for Christmas. I said to my wife, I was like, right, what have we got left to get for the kids? Because my boy's birthday is on Friday.
Lovely.
So we have that, and so we've got like his birthday stuff and his Christmas stuff. And I was like, right, is there any other bits we need? And then we got like the stocking filler bits to get. I'm saying it too loud just in case one of them hears. So like all the stocking filler stuff, and then so Sarah said, "Oh, I'll get everything together, and I'll see sort of who needs what and what we might need to get." And she did it all. She organised it and looked at everything. She went, "We absolutely don't need to get anything else for the kids."
That's amazing.
And not even any stocking stuff. I was like,
"That's ridiculous." What are you doing?
I was like, I hadn't even been paid for December, and I was like, none of it is going on. I was like, this is unbelievable. This is new territory for us, you know. So yeah, I was well chuffed, well happy. So yeah, we're really ready. I think, other than we're still not entirely sure what we're actually doing Christmas Day, if we're going to go see my wife's family or what we're doing, how we're doing it. But that's easy enough to figure out.
And then you'll be there, you know, duck or goose or whatever. You're kind of doing the whole kind of
ostrich.
12
might do a
days of
whole
Christmas.
ostrich this year.
You could do like, I don't know. I was going to say
on the road to Norwich, and that sounds like the start of a song. On the road to Norwich, there is a right next to the A47. There's a house that has in its garden a donkey and an emu. It might just have a donkey by the 31st.
He's just going to like
because I'm going, middle of the night, maybe tonight. Actually, it's dark. You know, it's a bit cold and wet. Nobody will be out.
I know.
Gonna smack an emu over the back of the head.
So, I think that's what police would call you confessing the intention to commit a crime if they listen to this show. But then, how long would an emu take?
Is it a crime?
What, to kill somebody else's animal?
I don't know. It's somebody else's. It was outside. Is it emu hunting season?
It could be, or it could be rabbit.
But the point is, there isn't an emu hunting season in England, which means it's not emu hunting season. So therefore, I can kill it.
I'm double negative.
I'll get a fishing license just to cover my ass.
Because let's face it, if there's one thing I keep confusing emus with, it's sharks.
Sharks and carp.
Which is why I need my fishing license to go and catch myself a kind of an emu. But I mean, we're pretty ready ourselves. Do you know what it is? I don't know if it was. I just don't want to get... I'm very conscious of Captain Supermarket potentially kind of going, oh, it's Christmas time, let's bump up all our prices. And as things I've witnessed during the year with kind of prices being ridiculous that they are, I'm not surprised that things aren't going to get a couple of quid on them, a cheeky couple of quid on them here and there. And I just thought, like, so my chicken's sitting in the freezer, all the veggies there, the potatoes are ready to go and stuff like that. Everything's kind of good to go, and we've got everything else kind of present wise kind of sorted out super early, like yourself. You know, just to kind of just to have it sitting, not having to worry. And if I do need any last minute bits, it's just a bit of a, you know, it's a bit of an online quick at your door kind of jobby, and it'll be like, or I can nip up the high street, because the high street, while it'll be crowded, there'll be certain days I can just nip up during the week at some point. You know, it's one of these things.
Just pop to the garage. You know, you can get most of it there.
I can just, you know, what did you get me? I got you a copy.
4 litres of AdBlue.
Today's Daily Express.
and a Kit Kat Chunky.
And a Kit Kat. And
It is a peanut butter Kit Kat chunky.
it is, of course it is, because if you're serving anyone else anything less than a peanut butter Kit Kat chunky, you obviously don't love them. And that is the truth. Gaming wise, what have you been getting to the table? We've both spoken about we're going to try and play Empire's End, but before we dive into Empire's End, have you been playing anything else since we chatted that you would like to maybe raise it?
Continuing on with Oathsworn.
Lovely.
Loving it. No, I don't think we've had a bunch of like game nights where people couldn't make it and stuff. So we've not had a lot of luck. I'm trying to think what I have played. Definitely Oathsworn, definitely Empire's End. I'm sure we played something else. It's not coming to mind. But I've been doing a lot of painting and stuff instead. So.
Okay. What have you been painting?
I started painting some Rumbleslam minis again.
Are you getting back in? Has the Rumbleslam still got an undercurrent, a rumbling undercurrent? Are you going to get back to the table? Are you going to play it again soon?
I will. Yeah, I do want to play it as whenever, but I just love painting them as well because they've just got such great character to them.
That's wonderful.
Do you know your wrestlers very well?
If you're talking about kind of like late 1980s, early 1990s.
Do you know who Brock Lesnar is?
Yes, I know Brock Lesnar. He had a mullet, blonde hair, and looked like. He looked like. Yes, he did.
You don't. No, he didn't.
Oh, is that somebody else?
He's a big guy. He went to the UFC as well.
Oh, right. Okay.
Really big mountain of a man.
Oh no, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
This is Brock Spector.
That's amazing.
And it's basically Brock Lesnar as a ghost ogre. And if you know Brock Lesnar, he's got a lot of tattoos, but he's very famous for it. He's got this big sword that kind of cuts right into his ridiculous frame of a chest. And this he has a sword
an actual sword. An actual sword in his chest.
So yeah, I've just started him the other day. So and I've been painting some Dungeon Saga minis.
I'm tapping the box behind me. 3 magical. Oh, you've done it. Oh yeah, because I saw the pictures on this already. How are they being need to paint? That's cracking
really nice.
Kind of job.
Yeah,
it's a really nice job. But Mantic's always pretty good at providing their minis. Their minis always seem to be pretty. Wow, that's one of the dwarf boys.
The dwarf hero. That was the one Elliot said looked the coolest. And then I've got all of the heroes sat in front of me, and they've all got their flesh done, but nothing else.
So how long will it take to get them finished?
Like everything?
No, not everything. Just those 4.
Oh, the 3 zombie ogres probably took me about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
That's nothing, isn't it? That's pretty good. You should do some kind of series on that.
I mean, it's pretty standard tabletop stuff, I
know. But I always this is me trying to push you because everybody's like, it's going to be like, well, what can we see on the YouTube channel this month? And it's going to be, nothing. Are you going to be doing anything? Could you be doing some Dungeon Saga Origins and just some? You could be.
I could.
Because
Ronnie
Renton, who I'm convinced is Steve Tudor's older lost brother, Polyhedron Collider.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I knew the name.
Yeah, they sound exactly the same when they talk. I'm just saying. I'm just putting that kind of out there. Okay, so dog is away. Right, so
Loads of Rumbleslam minis there ready to.
Oh wow! Are they just they're not because they're not obscure places to find them. You just it's quite an easy place.
Oh
to
no, you can get it. Yeah, I mean you can get them obviously all off TT Combat's website, but I buy most of them off Goblin Gaming because they're usually 10 to 20% off. Their classic online retailer discount.
Right, so let's talk. I'm going to talk about something that I've been playing. See if I can get it over here. So this is what we do. I just don't have a script because it's been suggested to me that I have an issue with object permanency, and that if I don't see something, I'm just like a goldfish. I just forget. So I played Raptor.
Oh, I love that game.
Love that game. I played Raptor today because a very, very lovely friend of mine, who shall name nameless, unless his name is, of course, Chris Darby, who runs he's part of the Staying In podcast, but he's also the most fabulous. He's the games master when I'm playing Blades in the Dark. He sent me this.
Blades in the Dark?
Blades in the Dark is like a role-playing game. Imagine kind of like it's kind of not steampunk-esque, but Dishonored. Imagine if Dishonored was kind of like a role-playing game.
That sounds cool.
So yeah, it is kind of very, very cool. But Raptor is kind of like a two-player asymmetrical power game that kind of works.
It's really clever. It's been a while since I played it, but I love it. And I like because it's to do with the card you played versus the card they played, isn't it?
Yes.
And how many actions you get.
Yes.
Whether you're higher or lower, I forget.
Yeah. So basically, if you play the lower card, then you get the action.
And they're numbered
like
1 to 10, aren't they?
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah. No, well,
That's
yeah.
it. You get the card or you get the action points.
You get the action or you get the action points. So if you play a 9 card and I play a 5 card, then I get the action that's on the 5 card, but you then get like 4 action points to play. Now, as the Raptor, you're quite literally just trying to escape or kind of eat all of the kind of the scientists that are trying to capture the baby raptors. Or as the scientist, you are trying to either take out Mama Raptor by basically shooting her full of 5 tranquilizing darts,
babies,
or stealing 3 of the babies, and it just it plays really, really quickly, and it's surprisingly kind of quite cerebral at the same time, because they're like, you sometimes want to play cards to have the actions, and then sometimes the other player that you've got has just managed to they just play a lower card. And then you'll be stuck using actions that you can't kind of really, really use.
Like an action, or even worse.
Yes.
Like you're like, I didn't get to do the card, and
Yes.
I've got one bloody poxy action or something. It's like arbitrary move or whatever it is, which most of the actions are. I think they're fairly arbitrary things, aren't they? If
It's
I
just
remember
pretty
rightly.
like kind of like move once, or you can stun a raptor, a baby raptor, if you're kind of next to it, or you can capture a baby raptor if you're next to it. There's ones that allow you to kind of like gas an area, so you can put all the baby raptors to kind of sleep. But it's wonderful because it doesn't stay too long at the table.
No.
And while it's asymmetrical, it's not actually very, very complicated as well. And one thing I find is there's a lot of asymmetrical games that are coming out there that need a manual about 40 pages long to explain to the things. And this is
So
just
true.
like, here's the 8 different actions that everybody can take based on the cards. Either that or you're doing kind of like move sets. And it's just, it was pretty quick. I played with my middle boy. He thoroughly beat me both times. I found that.
Did you swap back? Did you swap sides?
We didn't yet.
What was he?
Because he was the Raptors.
If I remember rightly, most people I've played with always think the Raptors have the edge. And I haven't played it recently enough to go remember if that's a solid argument or what the reasonings behind it were.
It's because the Raptors can move as quickly as they want. They can move as far as they want. So if they want to move a space,
they move like
they can move
like
across
castle,
an entire line. Yeah,
That's
basically
it,
like a
Like a
castle
rook.
in chess. Yeah, rook. Yeah, and what you have to do is the kind of the scientist, you've got to start kind of blocking off their route by placing kind of fires. But the only time a scientist can dash from one point to another is if they get like the jeep point.
Yeah.
The only way they can play fires is if they get the action point. But the main difference between I'd say the main benefit of the scientists is you get a pool of, you play 4 scientists, but you got a pool of another 6 scientists, and you bring them on based on kind of action cards. So the only thing I'd say against it is the Raptor itself is extremely deadly. I mean, it just needs to run straight up. It runs right up to you, kills you in the next thing, and then it's like, okay, well, that's fine. Then it can run somewhere else, but it doesn't have a limitation on the number of kill actions it can take. While scientists can only each scientist can only take what they call one aggressive action, so they can only gas a baby, or capture a baby, or or shoot the Raptor, because the other thing you can do is if you're in the same line of sight as the Raptor, as in the same line, like a kind of a rook, again, like the rook, the same horizontal or vertical, you can shoot like a sleeping bullet at them from any distance. So while it's your prerogative to try and build up add-on fires and kind of put blockages in the way to stop the Raptor kind of dashing and whizzing about, you've also got to make sure that you kind of strategically place them so you can almost pop a tranquilizer dart in the Raptor and then hopefully kind of disappear. But it is all based around. But it was incredibly surprising. An awful lot of depth.
How new was this game to you? Have you played it before, or have you only just
this
literally
is
you
brand
just
new?
wow? Because it's been out a long time now.
Oh,
I've probably had it.
yes.
I must have had it for like 6 years now, or something like that.
I'm just trying to see what it says. It's 20. This version is the 2021 version. So it's
I was going to say your
like 2
box
years
is
old,
different. Mine has the same artwork, but it has like a green, like border around the artwork instead.
The artwork is Vincent
is Mr. Dutrait,
who
Mr.
does
Dutrait.
some remarkable art, but it's a Bruno Cathala and Bruno Faduti joint.
Which is just
it's quite.
That's like a trio in heaven, isn't it? That Dutrait
Well,
artwork with Cathala and
Faduti.
Faduti, thank you. They do magical things together.
I'm interested to get it kind of to the table several kind of different times. There's another one of these things where you kind of sit down with games, and actually the action of just getting your arse in gear and actually playing the game is better than you just sitting and kind of playing the kind of the rule book. There's too many games like that. There's too many games like that I kind of played. The other one I have been playing was Resident Evil, the first board game. I put out my review for it. I really like it.
Yeah,
I just really like it. It's just, I really liked Resident Evil 3. This is kind of like Resident Evil 3 step back a bit with a bit more puzzle element for it, and there's some additional kind of NPCs you can kind of play at. Yeah, and it still maintains the kind of the same type of tension. My only concern and my ongoing thing for this is it's got wonderful sculpts. The sculpts are lovely, but the tile artwork is so ridiculously dark that I feel that it kind of misses out. It's there to create atmosphere, but it's almost like I'd love it if you'd actually just... It's like when I play a video game and they get me the option to put the brightness on, I'm always putting the brightness up at kind of like 10, basically.
I love it when they say like, make it so you could just see the emblem, and I'm like, no, I'll make it so I can clearly see the emblem. Thank you very much.
Exactly.
Screw you.
Exactly. I'm playing this outside on a sunny day. There's no way I'm gonna be. You know what I mean? I'm not playing your horror zombie game like halfway in the day. It's the same with like Last of Us and stuff like that. And it's like, oh yeah, put it so you can only see Ellie's severed head slightly in the light. It's like, there's no way I'm doing that, man. Come on, step up. I'm just like that all the way up. It's like I'm not having people kind of jump scare games are fine, but it's just the so there we go. So that's been fun, and you can either pick out levels to play, or they've got this interesting campaign mode where you kind of like explore and build the map kind of as you go, so you're actually exploring the kind of the mansion, as opposed to you kind of like you get cards that you add to that kind of create a kind of a map that then tells you where to go and what your setup is and stuff like that. But it is one of these games that I want to kind of hang on to and just kind of muck about and kind of play through the campaign and see how it goes, basically, and see how it goes. This is an interesting one. Let's talk about Empire's End. And it's an interesting one because while I've mentioned, I mean, obviously Raptor, I was bought for me, which is fine. Resident Evil, I was sent a review copy of it, so people might be, But Empire's End, Empire's End was something that I, physically own. Wasn't kind of presented in any type of review copy kind of format. Do you want to start off by? Do you want to explain a little bit of the background?
So yeah, in Empire's End, you are up to 4 players.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, up to 4 players. And
4 players.
you are a sort of anonymous civilization, and it's kind of dealing with the fall of a civilization. So all the things that can bring a civilization to its knees over its, eras, like pestilence and, ravaging fires and earthquakes and all these things that could, become a civilization. And it's got a really good kind of... So in front of you, you have 12 tiles. 12? Yeah? 12,
yes,
11?
12.
12. And there are a variety of, like, kind of, again, sort of arbitrary aspects of your civilization. So there might be, like, several towns, like road sections, kind of just, like, key sort of points of whatever your civilization is. And they're worth a variety of points in value. And there's a central board, and on that board there's kind of a snake of a sort of timeline, and you'll go along that timeline, and you'll get certain sections which are either all of your economic buildings will activate, so all your farms will produce whatever they produce, and etc, etc. So you get a load of resources. You've got another section which will allow you to rebuild some of your fallen aspects of your civilization, or you'll be able to add new things to some of your tiles and some of your sections to make them, in the economic section, etc, do more stuff. Then you have the disaster things, and on that you'll have these cards that are kind of space base style cards. So they're sort of 2 fingers wide and about the length of your finger kind of thing. And so you'll flip 2 of those over, or depends on the number of players, because if you're playing just a 2-player I've played it 4.
game, if you're playing a 2-player game, then generally the disasters themselves always come in singles. Whereas
I've had them.
On 3 and 4 players, they're generally depending on the track.
In a 4-player game, I think the first one is a single disaster, and then every single one after that is 2.
Yeah.
So you flip over everything, and it'll say the number of your section along your civilization. It'll say 1 to 12 on it. So that's
11,
the one
sorry,
that's
it's
being...
11. Sorry.
It is 11. I thought it was 11.
It's 11.
I said
11. I just double-checked the rule book, and it's definitely 11. So
yeah, it will say like 5, and it will say like pestilence or whatever. And then it will say the resources. There's only 3 resources in the game, basically, like axes, which is like basically your military might. Then there's wheat or grain. And then there's like hammers and tools and stuff. So 3 resources, and it will have a combination of those 3 resources on the tile. It will show the number that's going to be destroyed if you take that tile. And then starting with whoever's the first player, and the first player will be the person who took the disaster the previous time. They'll be the first person to do it. And you have to either take the tile and destroy the section of your civilization that's indicated, or put one of those resources on the tile and then it passes to the person on the left. They will then equally have to either take it, put a resource on. So it's this no thanks section where it's just saying, right, no, I'll put something on it. But then by the time it's come back round to you again, it might sit there with 2 axes and 3 tools on it, and you're like, that's juicy now.
Yeah,
and it's only gonna destroy my 6-point road. Screw that. I can rebuild that later very easily, kind of thing. So I described it when we were playing it as a game of very horrible choices.
I don't think
all the time you're just like, oh god, kind of thing. And when you've got like Richard was saying, if you're playing 1 or 2 player or 3 or 4 player, when you're playing 3 or 4 player, you have 2 disasters that go out. So it's even worse then, because you have to either take one, or you have to do the same choice but twice each time. Yes. Which is horrible. It's horrible doing it once, let alone twice. So you could sit there and go, right, well, I'll put a tool on that one, and I'll take that one.
Yeah.
But if you're the first person to take the disaster, only the first player token goes to the person who took the second disaster.
Exactly.
So again, it's like, oh,
it's
God.
not even beneficial.
So you can game it a little bit, because you could like say you could take one disaster and it'll give you say it's got 2 tools on it. You could take that one and it gives you some tools that you could then spend to not have to take the other disaster. So you can sort of help yourself out there sometimes in ways like that. But it's like I said, it's a game of difficult choices. But we thoroughly enjoyed it.
I'm not sure.
No?
I'm not 100%. I'm not 100% there, and the only reason I'm not 100% there is I'm not. There didn't seem to be a way once you had messed up, or once you ended up taking disasters, where you could maybe make it back up. I think you could end up with resources, but I wasn't sure there was enough times where you were able to then build and add in more innovations. Because that's the thing, the disaster cards, each of the disaster cards, if you do take the disaster cards, then each of them has like an innovation on that basically gives you like extra
You can improve
sword power,
another tile,
or
yeah.
you can improve, it improves the tile below it. But you can only put it on healthy tiles. So as the game goes on and you started to maybe take disasters, you end up with maybe out of the 11 tiles, you've only got 7 active tiles, you've got 5 that are destroyed. You've got the ability to then build back the tiles that have been destroyed. But I always felt, I don't know, the 2-player games seem to be different. You didn't seem to have any real double disasters. Whereas on the 4-player game, double disasters seem to happen an awful lot, which meant that
basically all the time.
Basically, because we like to be live and we like to be correct. But the other thing I'm
pretty sure it was in a 4-player game, the first disaster we had was a single, and then every single one after that is double.
Do you know what? I'm in the box just now, Mr. Pryor. We're checking this live and direct. You know what I mean? This is what we like. We like to keep things right. We don't. I always say,
like, in my mind, it's not a 2-player game. It's a really good 4-player game. I think it's probably, I played it at its sweet spot.
See, on the 2-player game, you've got every single disaster as a single disaster, and as you said, on the 4-player game, there's double disasters all the way. 3-player game, some of them have doubles and some of them have singles.
Yeah.
But my only thing was, you're meant to be able to build innovation. Oh, you get your economy, and you got coins in there as well, which you can use as like
they're like wild.
They're like wild tokens anyway. But you've got.
But like very quickly, they're like hen's teeth. They're it's not easy to get hold of gold.
It's very rare that you'll end up kind of getting a kind of a bounty of gold unless you're kind of very lucky. I guess what we found was that there was one space where you kind of like you get to build your innovations, but you can only really get actively able to build innovations at 4 times across the entire game for the 3 or 4 player. And I think it's three times on the single player. So I'll give you an idea. When I played it, mucked around with it kind of a good couple of times, just single player, just to kind of, you double hand it and just getting through. 2-player worked quite well. 4-player, when I played it at the club on Friday, the person who won had 175 points. And the person who lost, who came bottom of the pack, which not me, had 7.
Well, our game wasn't a million miles off that. I won with nearly 200. I was somewhere around that 175 mark.
Yeah.
Then I think it went to like 110. I think second and third both got round to 100. I think.
Yeah.
And then the guy who finished 4th, he decided to try and see how well he could do with an almost entirely destroyed civilization.
Oh, well, that's never good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well done.
And he got, I think, 38 points, which is probably actually quite respectable.
It probably is not bad at all.
You know.
But the guy that we were playing with, he had this one thing where you've got tiles which basically give you points. If you've got if you've got a centre tile and then you've got round each of it, you've got kind of like a road surrounding it on both sides. You get kind of points on that. And what happened was that in one of the battles, because he's never played it before, he didn't understand the kind of the strategy. He kind of went, well, I don't have enough firepower to be able to bid, because when it comes to a battle, basically everybody's got to bid the amount of power that they have. So a card's drawn and it says, okay, the person that comes first gets 10 victory points. The person, if you manage to score between 7 and 9, you get 4 victory points, and so on and so forth. But he didn't realise that if he didn't win, then what would happen is that one of his tiles would swap round. And what happened is the tiles swapped round, and it happened to be the tile that had the double roads innovation. So he lost out on that. He then lost. So basically, they got to the point where there wasn't enough kind of innovation for him to then go and repair anything, and he didn't have enough hammers to go ahead and repair anything. And I lost my capital city within the first kind of couple of disasters, because I wasn't
super expensive to try and get one of them back.
Yeah, and it was just too much, kind of too much money. I'm not saying I didn't like it. I liked it a lot. I liked the fact that, as you said, you're kind of sometimes having to take something because you've just not got the resources there. But I can see it sometimes being a bit of a downward spiral. Like if you're playing a 4-player game and you are currently sitting in 4th position, unless you have a magical couple of rounds, I can see it quite difficult trying to kind of get back up. There seems to be less turns than you would expect, because it played. How long did it take you to play it?
I don't know, hour 20 minutes probably, something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah, hour and a half, so in that territory. I won, and I know this is one of those wouldn't happen once we're a bit more experienced at it. I took a end game scoring tile, which was points for having grain.
I had that one.
And by the end of the game, I had 4 of those. No, 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah.
So like every grain I had was like 3 points, and I managed to get 14 grains stocked up at the end of it, and they wouldn't have let me do that. But definitely, I think if you're behind, you're well behind.
Yes. It had one catch-up mechanism where it said if you take a disaster and you've got less than five total resources, you can reveal your screen, because all your resources are behind a screen. All your resources are behind the screen, so you could lift the screen and show you've got less than 5 resources, and then you would get like a piece of gold. Also, you started with a hand of 4 disaster cards that on the innovation stage you could then build for free and add them for free, but you could also sell them for a coin each. But I didn't feel there was enough innovation times for me to effectively use them, or I got to the point where once I got to the 3rd innovation square in the track, everything that I could have done was kind of destroyed. So the innovations that I could have played didn't make a difference anyway, because they were getting kind of affected by it. But
it is really hard to plan ahead, because you very clearly see what's coming.
Yes.
But the wrong disaster at the wrong point with the lack of resources at the wrong point can just screw whatever little barely laid plan you had, kind of thing. You definitely get screwed in that way. But what it did and the sort of choices it made, we really enjoyed that aspect of it. It was just like nobody's sitting there going like, oh, this is lovely. Everybody's sitting there going like fingers on the temples, like rubbing them like, oh God, kind of thing, like what the how the hell am I going to get out of this, kind of thing. Like, I don't want any of this, I don't want anything to do with this. Like, but you're going to have to, kind of thing.
You have to get it. Because the guy that won, he got it. You could see in his mind that towards the last round, he's like, "Sorry guys, the AP struck," and we're all the rest of us are sitting there going, "How? How has the AP struck?" And then he just basically played this master move and went, "I'm going to do this, and I'm going to rebuild." And he had lost his 32 pointer, and he rebuilt it. And that's pretty much, he kind of like ended up with a couple of these combos that ended up kind of catapulting him all the way around the kind of the scoreboard, so he ended up on the hundreds.
We had a couple of moments when like I was or another player was like, I don't want to give up this resource, but I think I want to give up this resource less than the next person wants to take all those resources there and destroy that section. So you get this, you like I said, it's this game of horrible decisions. Like, do I take it? Do I give up something, or do I pass this even crappier decision? This crappy decision, do I pass it and make it an even crappier decision for somebody else? Kind of thing. And we really liked that. We really liked it. It didn't feel like anything else, which is what I felt. Which is what maybe I'm probably accepting some of the flaws in it by it standing out as something quite different. The amount of games we've played, the amount of games we own. There's lots of games we definitely will play nowadays, and you go, it was really fun. I really enjoyed it, but it's just another.
It's just another one of these. Yeah.
I can't think of anything that feels quite like Empire's End.
Yeah, I think that's why it's got the no thanks, isn't it? That's why it's got the no thanks kind of.
It does have no thanks, but no thanks isn't coupled with everything else that comes with it, kind of thing. It's like. I suppose it is. You might have just completely trodden on that point, and it is just no thanks, massively gamified. Which it really is. It really is no thanks, massively gamified.
Yeah, but then at the same time,
but it's gamified very well.
It's a game style that I haven't. I can't sit here and say, right, in the last 5 years, how many other games have I played that are similar to Empire's End that have exactly the same mechanics. I mean, I've certainly kind of like I've been kind of mucking about with Tapestry, and Tapestry is building stuff up and getting lots of points. You never feel like, you always feel like you're kind of climbing and doing better. You don't feel like, there's not like this kind of bell curve where you kind of reach the top of your kind of civilization and then you see everything kind of crashing down. I guess the only thing is like, and I've not really seen that much in a civilization game. I see everything kind of going to the giddy heights, but to start something from the giddy heights and then head back down to kind of arse territory, it's kind of like, I find that quite interesting. I was kind of surprised, and I don't know if this is something to be lauded or something to be unlauded or criticised, is that I guess I admire the fact that they didn't go down the kind of the asymmetrical power thing, because I could imagine this would be rife for somebody saying, right, you've got 4 civilizations, here's your civilization card, and this allows you to do kind of X, Y, Z. So I like the fact that nobody's kind of going, well, actually you'll find that I can actually buy this.
Oh no, that doesn't apply to me. No.
No, I don't have to worry about this flame thing because this is for somebody else's.
I actually like kind of even more so to the point when it starts. Like I said, you've got these 11 tiles which makes up your city, and one player who's going to be like first player, basically they just kind of randomly put them out in front of them. They just go, right, 1 to 11, boom, there you go, and everybody else at the table copies whatever that combination and chain is.
I really like that.
But then very, very quickly it's not the same because stuff moves and this goes here and then that goes there, and you get things where like somebody's sitting there going, like, oh, I know we're on a 5, but that 5's now next to my road, and I don't want it to be, I can't destroy that because it'll like you said, the thing next to it has got the thing on it, and I need that, but that's not the situation for anybody else because their road isn't there anymore or whatever. You moved your road there, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it does some good things in that way. It does lots of good things.
As I say, my main thing was I almost felt like it wasn't kind of long enough for a game. I would have liked it to have maybe not lasted a couple of rounds. I would have liked to have more chance to do the kind of the innovation and the economy and even the war, because I felt that would have kind of given dividends. And I felt like, especially in the 3-4 player game with always the disasters, you seem to be kind of constantly either mitigating, so you're paying out resources, but unless you accepted a disaster, you were kind of not, there wasn't really an easy way to get the resources back. However, with the 2-player, because you're not doing the disaster, you're not doing double disasters at all, you're instantly, but you're still getting, it's kind of strange, you're still getting the economies of scale. So when you play the economy, when you get the economy action, you're getting all the same benefits of the economy. Whereas on a 4-player game, you're doing 2 disasters, so you can end up kind of whittling down your resources an awful lot quicker. So in the 2-player game, it was actually an awful lot easier when it came round to kind of like the innovations game and the building side of things. You were like, well, I've already got these 2 hammers and I can rebuild this pretty easily because I've still got 6 hammers kind of left on from the last time. So I felt kind of building up was fine. Whereas 4 players seem to be kind of like an awful lot more kind of cutthroat. I would like to see how this would play out more at 3 players again. I'd be interested to see how it would play with people who play it like 2 or 3 times in kind of quick succession to see if there's like a definitive strategy that people would kind of follow. But it was surprisingly quite easy to turn. I did have, well, it wasn't me, but one of the people that pointed out says they didn't understand what the benefit was of having a screen to cover the resources. They weren't sure, kind of, I guess in a bidding kind of thing, they kind of knew what people had. They said that did make sense. They said that was fine, but what they didn't understand was all the really important information about the various things was put on the back of the screen, and these screens are like 3 inches high, so everybody when they were trying to like kind of check what things were, they were kind of like, I'm down here, I'm down here. I'm trying to crane to kind of see what everything was, and it would have been nice to have a kind of like a resource thing, a crib sheet, as opposed to having it printed on the back of the screen. I'm sure somebody went, this is a really, really good idea and looks lovely, but kind of didn't work.
Well, they could have very easily, because it's all very nicely game trade and organised within the box. And each little faction, you start with your little game tray that has your starting set of tiles and blah, blah, blah. They very easily could have made those not clear-topped, made them dark-topped, and you had a little resource chest that you put your stuff in.
Yes.
That's so you can keep that all nice and hidden. Yeah. And so again,
it's just a crib sheet.
It's always stuff like that. I always think, how did that end up? Did nobody throughout any of the play testing see anybody trying to crane the neck? It's like when you get your hand at a Texas Hold'em thing and you're trying to like look at it, you're trying to just turn up the edge of the card and you're just trying to get that little sneaky glance that nobody else could see, kind of thing.
I reckon it was a crib sheet. No, I guarantee there was a crib sheet there. Originally, everybody used to get a crib sheet, and then somebody went, do you know what'd be cool? Put it on the back of the screen so people can refer to it as they're looking for the resources. And it's like, nah. No. So it's staying on the shelf. I'm not gonna punt it anytime soon. I'd like to see how it kind of plays with different players. I know definitely one person who will never play it again after kind of like getting 7 points and just going, this game. But probably next time, depending on the order of, and this is the thing, the replayability comes in at the beginning of every game. You reorder the cards, so it's not like everybody has a set kind of 11 kind of different cards that they'll be playing. It'll vary from game to game. And it'll be interesting to see how it kind of plays. So that's
I think it's quite a group dependent game too. There is definitely certain groups who I'd be like, I wouldn't even consider playing this game with you. It just isn't your bag, kind of thing.
No, it's like it's like Tapestry kind of thing, but no.
Yeah, it's because there is definitely conflict in there. You definitely, you're not sort of screwing other people, and it's not take that, but it's like I said, when you're passing that decision on to somebody, it's a very kind of like, nope, thank you very much.
I'm gonna say,
and there's a lot of people who'd be like, oh, for God's sake, and they can't see past the bad choice they've got to make to see the positive that can come from it, kind of thing. They can't see the silver lining in the cloud, sort of thing. And the rewards from the risk, very
refreshingly interactive. Consider this, I've still got to play Tapestry, and I'm just like, I don't know. I've got people that really like interactivity, and when you say to them, like, it's a Euro game, I got away with playing Expeditions, which is the other game that I played a couple of weeks ago, and everybody kind of really liked it. And I was expecting them to go, I'm not sure about this because it's a solo Euro game, but then folk were kind of like, no, this is exploration, and we're exploring, and it's a race to see who can explore things first. So there's kind of like people kind of taking resources before other people, which they really liked. I think if people aren't liking their take that stuff, I'm not sure how much they'll like Empire's End, or they'll play it and go, great, that's a game I played and put it away. Whereas if somebody's looking to get, I think somebody who likes something to be a bit cutthroaty, who likes to be kind of bluffing and bragging, and there was a little bit of smack talk around the table. It's like, oh, look at all these lovely results. Are you going to take them? Are you sure you're going to take them?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And they don't take them. And it's like, oh, go, you better take that because I've got nothing left. And then when you went, okay, and they went, aha, and they put their gold coin count down and went, there you go. You can have, the next person can have it instead. So that's Empire's End. Brotherwise Games. John D. Clare's the designer. Art by Quan Chai Moria. And as normal, Quan Chai knocks it out of the park with the art. I
tell you what, I haven't seen like the reviews coming in for it yet. I'm intrigued to see what, like, the Dice Tower crew and that. I don't think have they reviewed it?
I don't know if there's been many things.
I'm intrigued to see what they think of it, or some of them. I'm intrigued to know what some of them think about it. Some of them, I don't care.
That's absolutely terrible. But very true. Absolutely. Certain people, we just know that they're not going to like it, and just tell everybody how much they don't like it, and then go into other groups and tell people that said, I like this game, no, I really didn't like it, and I just don't know why you're
wrong. You're wrong to have your opinion.
You're wrong to like this thing that I don't like. Yes, I know you don't like it, but some of us have got to get interactivity on our media, so there you go. So that's oh my goodness, guess what? I made a post. Right, okay. So here we go. I made a post on Facebook saying, do you want to ask us any questions?
It's got 2 likes on it. Me and Mike Poole.
No. Look, Jerry Baker's coming. Jerry from the Board Game Snobs.
Is he
yeah, he's coming.
We have got some questions.
Yeah, I've got some questions. Do you want to should we just fire through these questions really, really quickly, then we can move on to what we're wanting to get to the table. He says, what is your motivation to keep podcasting? You've still got a podcast, right? Jerry.
I like that. Did he hear me mention Board Game Snobs? For anybody who doesn't know, Jerry Baker is one of the co-hosts.
He is one of the co-hosts.
He's the better half of the Board Game Snobs.
I don't know. That's a kind of decisive kind of opinion, because I think Enrique is the best part of the Board Game Snobs. Let's face it. The motivation to keep me podcasting at the moment is because we're going to be talking more about games than people, because I'm getting back into games.
I am.
Luke is the motivation. Who's your favourite?
The motivating factor.
Right. That's ridiculously true. Until Tim says yes. Who's your favourite designer, Luke?
Probably just for off the top of my head, in a general sense, Cathala, probably. Mm-hmm. It probably would have been Eric Lang once, but I think he's had too many misses. When he gets it right for me, he gets it really right.
He gets it really, really right.
But then he's had too many that are just like, well, that was just distinctly average or wrong. But so Cathala in a consistency sense, I would say probably right. But if I gave that a lot more thought, I could probably, I'm not sure. But
yeah, I think the correct answer to that is David Thompson, but you're okay.
If I was doing a top five, I'm pretty sure Thompson would be up.
We
there.
should do a top five. We should do a top five. We should do a top five at some point.
Let's do it next time. There you go.
What would you change if you could about your podcast? Well, we've just answered that question, haven't we? So there we go.
Did we?
What is the... Yeah, I mean, we're going to be doing less interviews and more talking about games, which is, we're going to have two...
More me. That's what you mean. What you meant was I'm going to have more Luke. That's what you meant to say. You just didn't word it correct. You didn't.
White heterosexual men giving their opinions and stuff, which is
Who the hell told you I was straight white?
Oh right, okay. I didn't know. I didn't
3%
guess.
Mongolian. Thank you very much.
Well, I thought you had a little bit of Mongolian in you. What's the biggest issue facing the boarding industry?
Boarding industry. Well, it's the the kids don't get fed enough. They have to ask more, and then they get beaten.
Exactly. Yeah.
They have to. I mean, the factory conditions they have to work in is horrific. No,
I don't know. What's the biggest issue? People aren't wearing enough hats.
Entitlement is the biggest issue facing the board game industry. Certainly from somebody obviously who works in the crowdfunding industry, outside of the industry, entitlement is a big thing. I think backers need to, sometimes check themselves before a lot of the comments that I see made, and I think it's an entitlement that comes with a lack of knowledge.
Yes.
Whereas they're so far into the hobby that they think they know everything about it. For instance, and I won't go into too many details, but it was a public post. So somebody was slating a company for using a fulfillment company and sort of basically saying like, I'll never use you again, da 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 da, blah blah blah, da da da. This is ridiculous because I haven't received anything yet, rah 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 rah. And as I stated, and a whole load of other people, and very gladly somebody very high up in the company also stated and basically pushed back against this person. And I stated very clearly, I was like, well, like at the end of the day, at the point you're at, you're having a go at this company about this, saying, I haven't got my thing. They have done everything at this point towards the fulfillment that they can do. The product is with the fulfillment company.
Yeah.
They could do really no more at this point. It's out of their hands and it will get to you eventually. And this whole sort of bullying nature of trying to say, like, you'll never get my money again, rah, rah, rah. It's like, luckily the company, basically the person with the company came along and went, good, thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Off you trot,
Yeah.
I'm gladly kind of applauded in this comment, in this section, for pushing back against this sort of behaviour. And I think a lot of people, because they're so in the hobby, as we all are as gamers, they think they understand everything about the hobby, and actually in that post showed a complete load of ignorance as to actually the whole process of getting from a campaign or even just a design to your doorstep sort of thing. The thing that everything it goes through to do that, and you say, you don't have to go through many, even the well-run campaigns on Kickstarter and GameFound or whatever. You go to a really good campaign, and even then the comments section is still absolute toilet water of horrible people smashing away at their keyboard of this, entitled indignation as to how they've been so desperately wronged because their name was misspelt on the address label or some bloody nonsense. It's just
accidentally got sent the next level of game up, but you spelt my surname with one T instead of two. Therefore, I want to set everything. I want to set everything on fire and send it back. To be honest with you, how many people who get stuff delivered to them are actively going, "Oh, thank goodness," because I'd completely run out of board games to play. How many people are actually sitting there going, going like, thank goodness the table's set up. I just had to set it up and play it right now. It's just ridiculous.
It's like, and you'll always see things like, oh, you know, like when somebody puts out an update saying that it's going to be delayed by a week because it's got held up at customs or something like that, and somebody's like, oh, woe is me, I'd organised a convention via another intermediary for 300,000 people to attend said controversy, and I was intending to play this game at that convention. It is now ruined, you know. And it's like, jump on, mate, you know, come on. It's like, yeah, I get it. You were going to a convention, and there was a modicum of a chance that this game was going to turn up before that convention, and you were going to get to play it at that convention. But now you're not. Boo sucks you, and you know, it's just like, oh, you know, it's just all of that sort of thing. Your camera's just something off. Oh, there you go, back. It's
you
just
banged the
it's
table
just
so
all
hard,
of,
I've seen you move an inch there.
I banged the table so hard it rocked Scotland. That's how pissed off I am with this sort of thing. I think it's that sort of thing. I think people just need to sometimes just calm down and enjoy your hobby. Just stop getting so worked up about that. Just, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's lots of times where people have absolute justified righteous indignation. Yes. Everything that's going on with Mythic Games is an absolute shit show, and the poster boy for what not to do and where it's all gone horribly wrong. But that we could do a whole podcast talking about that sort of thing. There is plenty of instances where that righteous indignation is perfectly justified, but 99% of the time it absolutely isn't justified, or it's justified to a point of like oh bugger. That's it. That's as far as it needs to go, you know, and just, you know, just dust it off and go, oh, well, I guess we'll have to play one of the other games tonight. Or
exactly. You
know, and it just enjoy your hobby. Stop feeding on the cesspit of the negative bits and sort of rallying around all these people that just seem to love this whole side of it, and enjoy it, you know.
Speaking of enjoying it, let's move on and talk about, and I'm going to tie this back into what you've been talking about. This little beauty. Yeah. It's Dungeon Saga Origins. Right, okay. Because, and I'm going to say this publicly, I think it was back in March that the campaign was there, and they says, oh, we're going to deliver in December, to which I think everybody was like, come on. You know,
yeah, they said we hope to have this under your Christmas trees. Yeah. And most people were like, yeah, course you do, Ronnie. Course you do, son. You know.
Let's get you to bed, Grandad. You know, I'm gonna get. That's a perfect meme, isn't it? Somebody should make that meme of kind of like, let's get you to bed, Grandad. You know, I'm gonna have that Kickstarter fulfilled by Christmas, and then just the picture. Somebody should superimpose Ronnie Renton's head onto it. So that's good, Grandad. Let's get you to bed. But by golly, did he deliver? He got it delivered. Was it in December? It was December, wasn't it? Right at the beginning of December, wasn't it? Yeah. There might have been a few people who copped it in November. Might have been just on the arse end of November. Actually got it like tail end. Yeah, very, very close. If I checked to my thing, I mean, I was very, very, very close. We're
not talking about like a little card game. We're talking about a box with 60, 70 really good minis. Yeah. 5 like scenario. What's the word?
A scenario book. I mean,
like expansion scenario books. Yeah, like
expansions.
5. Like 5 volumes, you could call it, of sort of sagas to go through. You know, really super impressive. You know, and the app that's going to help with it is apparently not far away. Well.
Yeah. I mean, it's got all the. I mean, I think there's some things that helped it on the way. I mean, a lot of the terrain that was included in kind of like the bigger pledge came from terrain crates. A lot of it's from
most
the
of the minis.
Stuff.
I think. Yeah, I think most of the minis were already existing ones. Yeah. But not all of them. Not all of them. Certainly not the heroes for a start. I don't think these.
Absolutely.
the zombie trolls. I don't think these are for anything. I can't think where in the range they might have already existed, but and even then, I think not all of those. I think it's like maybe 70% of them, say, for instance, are existing miniatures.
Yeah. The several things I'm excited about. I like the fact that there's like there seems to be a very, very set kind of campaign that you can kind of follow through. I like the fact that they've gone for very, very standard kind of tiles as well. That it almost is. I mean, I'm getting major kind of Hero Quest vibes off as well. It seems to be a lovely little kind of. It seems to be a lovely little kind of dice.
Yeah.
Yes. So yes, I'm very, very impressed, and I'm kind of interested in what's going to happen. So I'm going to try and get it to the table over the next couple of weeks over Christmas. Run a couple of games and see, and we can focus
me and Elliot are
on
going to
that.
play it. Yeah, I want to try and have everything for the first box.
Yeah.
First book.
Yeah.
Painted.
Wow.
It shouldn't, because it's a lot of skeletons and stuff. I don't think I need to establish exactly what I need to get painted, but I don't think there's nothing like those zombie trolls were kind of three of the sort of bigger things in it. That was a bit like, I want to give them their due attention sort of thing.
Not going to be difficult though, is it? I mean, let's face it, a bit of dry brushing, good base, a bit of
contrast,
the old magical
I just did contrast paints and highlights.
Yeah, and you'll be kind of good to go. So I've got that. So I'm looking forward to going that. I also
never even heard of this. What even is it? Is that like a
Dinosaur Gauge?
Is that a prototype?
It's not actually. It's the final. It's Holland Spiel. So it's Mary Holland and Amabel Holland and Amabel Holland. Holland Spiel did things I think they've done involved in things like Irish Gauge. There's a whole pile of games. They just seem to be absolutely prolific in just designing games and kind of putting out there. And I think
they're train games, right?
Yeah. They've done quite a few train games. They did Irish Gauge. They've done quite a few war-related games as well. They've also got one which is kind of like, there's one all based around disinformation in relation to smoking. They've done one about, they've got a kaiju battle game, which is literally, it's actually people dressed up as kaiju battling each other in some kind of film set and how they kind of face off against each other. So the imagination that Amabel has is simply interesting. I looked at Dinosaur Gauge and I went, I've got to get hold of this, and because the group that I play, they love a kind of a train game. They love a bit of Power Grid, but they also
I love Power Grid,
and they also love a bit of Irish Gauge. So I thought,
so if I love Power Grid, would I love Irish Gauge?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, it's all kind of bidding and economics and stuff like that.
To be honest, I just saw it as a train game, and I kind of just, it was one of those, if I ever play it, I play it. I didn't give it really any second glance.
I think it's just worthwhile. I think it is. I think it's a decent kind of economics game where you're kind of like, you're building up your tracks, you're connecting areas together, and then you're scoring points based on kind of like share prices caused by the size of the railway tracks and stuff like that as well. So it's kind of interesting in relation to that. So I'm interested in kind of getting that to the table. That's the two main ones. Hamlet's still sitting there. We'll get that to the table. Hamlet's Mighty Boards one that's about building up a little town. So that should
I know what you mean. Yeah,
you know what I mean.
You never said who your favourite designer was. Or did you say David Thompson?
David Thompson's kind of I think David Thompson is definitely kind of getting up there. Aaron West is he's one of my favourites just because of I've got Catacombs and I've got big fond memories of everything that game does, even though I don't get it to the table enough. And I think that he is vastly underrated in what he tries to do in terms of...
Oh, he is the guy I spoke to, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's lovely. He's very nice
lovely,
guy.
Yeah, he's lovely. Absolutely lovely. Delightful man.
Yeah.
Absolutely delightful. He's not... He kind of keeps his head down. He's another one, right, that seems to just put out Kickstarters.
SEAL Team.
Puts
He
out
wanted to do
Kickstarter
SEAL Team
crowdfunding.
Flicks.
Yeah, he just puts out crowdfunding things, gets them funded, gets them sorted out, puts them out there without any too much hassle, and just gets it done. He's a delightful guy. So there we go.
Yeah, really
So
nice.
that'll be the main ones that were.
So you're looking forward to playing Dungeon Saga,
Dungeon Saga,
Dinosaur Gauge.
Dinosaur Gauge. Those are what about yourself?
What have I got? So Dungeon Saga definitely.
Yes.
I just got the kind of upgraded box for Project L, which is a game I love. I love Project L. It's just a really nice game. More Oathsworn, clearly. But I'm in Poland most of next week, so I won't get to play. Although we're hoping to move our normal Wednesday gaming night to Friday if we can.
All right.
I just got Age of Rome by Teetotal Games.
Okay.
Which is one I think that looks really interesting. It's got all these like clear discs, which are like upgraded versions of things. So it kind of does the the Gloom where you put it's like that but with discs. So the things get better beneath it, sort of thing. So it improves and stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
And then it's got this rotating section of the board. Rotates and stuff, so it looks like it's quite cool, and it's got some cool aspects to it. Dungeon Saga. I've been building some MDF scenery lately, so I really want to get some Star Wars Legion played.
I need to look at Star Wars Legion or Shatterpoint, but I'll need to. I've seen every single time I look at Shatterpoint or the Shatterpoint groups, it's always the same kind of question: do I have line of sight when I'm like standing backwards facing a stormtrooper while it's like the second sun is passing over the ridge, kind of thing?
One of the worst things about miniature games, like Z Garcia of the Dice Tower, he says like, "Oh, I'm not interested in miniatures games," because he doesn't want that whole argument over was that 12 inches or wasn't it 12 inches? Am I in line of sight? And I completely get it.
Yeah.
Luckily, the guy I play most of these sort of things with, we're just kind of like, if you reckon you've got it, you got it.
Cool.
It's toy soldiers. Don't.
Let's not sweat it.
Yeah.
That's
why I could never. There's a couple of games in my life that I've enjoyed so much that I thought I think I wouldn't mind going in a tournament for this, and Star Wars Legion is one of those. And then I have that little reality check where I go, no, because you'll want to rip the head off the guy who's being a complete anal twat about all of these things.
Yes.
And just no, you're too. I'd win the sportsmanship award all the time, or I'd get arrested. One of the two. So it's like, So yeah.
Cool.
So yeah.
So what we'll do is when we swing back around, we'll have a conversation about Dungeon Saga Origins. Make sure we've got it to the table. I think also what I might do if we might do this is potentially look at our top 10 games of last year.
That's a good idea.
So we might do a top 10. I have already been working, because I've been obviously writing all the reviews, I have got a spreadsheet of 50
of games released in 2023 or games
you
played in 2023 and that was
games I've played in 2023 were first introduced to me, that I've got them in some kind of semblance of order.
Yeah, mine would probably have to lean more that way.
Yes.
Because I'm not brilliant at, I don't get everything.
I'm
not a massive podcaster like you, so I don't get all these review copies.
According to the stats, I'm not a massive podcaster either. Yay! But we will have a kind of a games that made us happy, games that made us smile, games that made us a bit frustrated, and potentially look at a kind of our own little top 10 of games that we would like to talk about. Games that have been released this year, last year, 20 years ago, I don't care. Games that 2023
I'll be up for that.
Made us glad that we were involved in the cardboard. For people that have listened along tonight, if you want to keep up on the rest of the podcast, go to wearenotwizards.com, or if you want to read the words, go to wearenotwizards.co.uk. If you like what you've listened to tonight, then there's a couple of things you can do. You can drop us a rating or review on your podcast catcher of choice, be that Spotify, be that Apple iTunes, be that Podcast Addict, be that Google Podcasts, be that Amazon Music, wherever you find us, drop us a rating, and that will make us very, very happy indeed. Or you can drop us an email if you want to ask us any questions at all for the next show, or even send us your own top 10 yourself. Drop us an email at magic@wearenotwizards.com. But until the next time, stay safe, roll sixes, make something awful. And it's a goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye from me. Stay spicy.
Stay spicy.
Bye-bye.
What the stay spicy? But until the next, stay spicy. Stay spicy. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Stay spicy. Stay spicy.
A wizard is never late. Nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.